Innermost Podcast, where we explore, acknowledge, set right, and show gratitude for our deepest and most private inward thoughts, emotions, and experiences. As always, you can write to the show anonymously and share your thoughts, experiences, and stories that you would like to share on the podcast at the Innermost Podcast at gmail.com. Also, go ahead and follow us at the Innermost Podcast on Instagram. I am your host, K-Joy. Welcome to the Innermost. I'm so excited this morning to be joined with my personal crew, my husband, St. Dinkins. What up, St. Dinkins?
What's going on?
And my oldest son, Kai. We call him Kai Kai. What's up, Kai?
What's up?
All right, well, let's get it started this morning. This is the Innermost, and it's a couple of topics that we want to get into. I know it's cooling down early in the morning, so I'm excited about that. I think I mentioned last time, like, my favorite season is the fall. I know you guys are excited because you've been running around here playing NCAA. So how's that going?
I'm actually trying to get to NCAA. I can't wait for this podcast. No, I'm just playing. But no, I really do. I got my season going right now. A franchise. I'm not the type of person that plays online. I don't play online. My son, he plays online, but I'm not a competitive person like that because I feel like my whole philosophy behind not playing online is people don't play realistic.
So what's the difference with that? So you don't play online and you're old school, and then you do play online. So, like, what are the differences with college football with that?
Well, just football, period. Like, you know, whether it's Madden or college football, the difference is just that you're competing with somebody versus not competing with somebody.
Like a real person?
I love stories of, you know, I appreciate, you know, sports in general. Just throughout the season, it's a storyline that develops. And I'm just such a fan of the story. And so that's why I do franchises and dynasties and Madden and NCAA versus my son. He just want to play his cousins, you know, online, and he just want to throw streaks and throw 5, 6, 7 interceptions a game, which is not realistic. It don't happen like that in real life. But I mean, it's competitive. But
yeah,
I respect that. I respect that. But at the same time, my brain is wired way different. I'm a contrarian when it comes to how to play sports games these days.
Well, that's interesting because I know we're going to talk about traditions. So from your perspective, what makes playing online more interesting than what your dad is talking about, like doing dynasties and stuff like that?
You could do like competitions, tournaments. You could do wagers, put money on it, and you got bragging rights.
Who money you putting on there? What money? Who you putting money on the game? Is
like
it
this is $5.
Is your allowance you going on the game?
So, okay, so I know, like, we're going to get into traditions later in the show. So when you play and you say you're more old school, when did, because this before, now they're calling it college football. Originally, it was NCAA. Do you know the year that first came out?
They came out way back in 97. I remember, it probably came out before then, but I remember playing NCAA 97 on PlayStation 1.
Do you remember seeing your dad play NCAA when you were little? Mm-hmm. You do? Okay, so I
think it was PlayStation 1. I could be mistaken. I think it probably was Nintendo or Super Nintendo. I got to look back.
Look it up, shoot. Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's been out for a minute. But
that's cool. So there's a difference in the way that you play it. But I think that's really cool because the game is still versatile and it appeals to the older generation and the newer generation. Okay, so let's get into a little bit of football since we're bringing it up. We're getting into the fall seasons. It's what, preseason games that are going on right now in the NFL?
I call them teasers. Yeah.
Teasers, okay. And then we have some, I know you guys mentioned like Caleb Williams. What are some other like quarterbacks, or not just quarterbacks, but rookie players that you've been excited to see like in the preseason for NFL?
Well, what the teams have been doing so far is, say you'll have a team like the Rams, and they'll put their starters in for first quarter. What they're doing right now is they're putting their starters in for the first 2 quarters so they can build team chemistry. And right now, Malik Neighbors was struggling yesterday against Derek Stingley. Actually, there was a pick 6, and he got their quarterback threw a pick 6, and Derek Stingley got a pick.
Derek, you know what's funny about that matchup? Malik Neighbors and Derek Stingley both went to LSU. And I don't even know if they ever locked horns because it was like two different classes. But Malik Neighbors, everybody, he's the first round draft pick receiver.
So they're on opposite sides of the...
Yeah, Malik Neighbors played for New York Giants, and Derek Stingley plays for the Houston Texans.
Gotcha.
They both come out of LSU with that LSU pedigree. Malik Neighbors is a first-round draft pick receiver. Had a great year last year. Almost broke some records at LSU with all the, receivers that they have there. Go down the lineage of all the receivers. You had Odell Beckham Jr., you got Jarvis Landry, you got Justin Jefferson, you got Jamar Chase. Now you got Malik Neighbors. So LSU is starting to become like wide receiver U.
Okay.
So, yeah.
LSU is actually doing some big things in athletics, though, right? Because I think last year for the college baseball, they won like the College Baseball World Series.
Yeah.
So it seems like they have a lot going on. What about Caleb Williams? That's your guy, right?
That's my
USC.
guy. What you think about
What's
Caleb
going
Williams,
on with that?
He's good, It's real controversial because all the nail polish and everything. So people really don't want to see him fail. But
They don't want to see him fail or want to see him fail?
some people want to see him fail.
Oh, wow.
Oh wow.
They do. They don't want. They think he's cocky. They don't like the fact that when he seen Keenan Allen, he didn't acknowledge him.
Yeah, I saw that.
And I like to say, if you know any Vikings fan, please give him a hug. It's
So why?
JJ McCarthy hurt.
because JJ McCarthy, he teased y'all and then he left y'all. It's a sad
I
week
thought
for y'all.
JJ McCarthy played. I saw Justin Jefferson on the sideline getting hype because you're like, man, that's gonna, because for any star receiver, man, you need a good quarterback, and losing Kirk Cousins, that was detrimental, and bringing in somebody like JJ McCarthy who was showing some early promise, and now he got a meniscus tear or something like that. He's gonna be out. He's got to heal up, and he was a rookie. He won a national championship with Michigan under Jim Harbaugh's head coach.
You know what that reminds me of though? Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, because the first year Joe Burrow got hurt and he was out for a while.
Yes.
And then they came back the next year and
So
they
how
went
long
all the
does
way to the
that
Super Bowl.
usually take for to heal? I'm listening to you guys talk about these. Is it the entire season that usually out, or is it
Well, it depends on the severity of the injury. Meniscus, that's the whole season.
the whole season?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well,
So you're right about that. Give the Viking fans a hug.
what team? I mean, I know we're LA Rams team, but what other teams are you looking forward to seeing maybe in the playoffs this season?
Well, I want to see Chiefs is always going to be that top team now, but I want to see the Detroit Lions, go make it to like the NFC Championship and lose against the Rams.
Mm-hmm.
But that's another team I'm excited to see. I think Jameson Williams is going to have a breakout year this year. I think Amon Ra is going to be probably double teamed, and it's just I think that Jameson is going to be a sleeper. He might be somebody I pick up on my fantasy. I'm more excited to see Aaron Rodgers, that chemistry between Aaron Rodgers and who's my boy over there, the receiver.
For what team?
Jets.
The Jets. Oh, Garrett Wilson.
Yeah, Garrett Wilson, that tandem. Garrett Wilson is one of those guys. I think that he's he's just as talented as Justin Jefferson. It's just he never got a chance to really have a great, solid quarterback. Mark my words, guys. Garrett Wilson, as long as Aaron Rodgers stay healthy, he's going to be one of the top receivers in the league.
I also think that Tank Dell's gonna have a good season. A lot of people think Stephon Diggs is gonna be the star, but I think they have John Mechie, Nico Collins, Stephon Diggs, and Tank Dell. They got a lot of hungry receivers there, and Stephon already, they got a lot of hungry young receivers. What the receiver room should really be doing is taking after Stephon Diggs and getting kind of like Cooper Kupp to Puka Nacua. Stephon Diggs needs to lead that wide receiver room, and I also think that Patrick Mahomes is a wizard. If you guys are real football fans, y'all would have seen the behind the back throw he made, and the whole rail was going crazy. Have you guys seen that yet?
I saw that. Yeah,
I saw
he
that
said
clip.
he threw that because he was pissed off at Travis Kelce for running the wrong route. He ended up flipping behind his back, but ended up becoming the highlight.
Wow.
So, but yeah, no, definitely.
I think that's what's so cool about when you're passionate about your craft. They kind of call that like that playground, that backyard football or playing when you could just be passionate. So as we mentioned all these different things, what do you think the changes that Roger Goodell has going on in the NFL? How do you think that's going to affect the season this year? Because
I would cuss right now, but I'm not going to cuss because I got my son on the air. But
so first, let's talk about what those changes are. I know of a couple of them. We have you have how many games, right? There's an extra week. Is that right?
Extra, yeah. But made it 17 games, which is stupid. You put an odd number of games out there. Now you're making it 18. And it undermines so many records that's been set.
So let's discuss that.
It's ridiculous. Like everybody, you go to ProFootballReference.com and you're able to see the historic statistics of some of the best, a lot of the Hall of Famers. Everybody. It has a database of even if you were 1 year hit wonder. It's an archive of stats that's just kept in the archive, and it's for the right reason, like to be able to quantify and give good players accolades. Him increasing this season to 17 games, I was pissed off about it because under my guy like Cooper Kupp comes out and have the same exact year that Megatron had. With Megatron, only played 16 games. Calvin Johnson, and he had Cooper Kupp come out. He did the same amount of yardage, but he played 17 games. But one thing I respect about Cooper Kupp, and that's my guy because I'm a Rams fan, is that he put that out there. He respected it. He said, hey, you got to put an asterisk by my numbers because I did it in 17 games. The other guys did it in 19. And guys like Jerry Rice. You got guys like Justin Jefferson, that's there, who's probably going to break his yardage, not touchdown, but yardage record because of all these games now.
Well, what about like the punt return and that rule? There's a new punt return rule, right?
Rule.
The kick return rule.
Everybody got that right there.
What do you think about that? It
destroys the tradition of football, and then also too with the hip tackle, well, you can't like how are you supposed to bring down somebody? It's like they're making this game like it might as well be flag football.
I think,
go ahead, Kai. I'll let you spit on this.
Do you think it's money moves or you think it's just dumb moves? Like you think these moves are for money?
It is for money, but it's dumb too, though.
So that's a good point, Kai, because I would say that it would be for money when it comes to, and this is just me not knowing, the ins and outs of all the rules, but as far as like when they talk about medical and equipment and all those different things, it's like they're extending the game, but then they're also trying to implement things that they think are going to keep players healthy, so that they can essentially extend their money.
Man, sign a waiver and shut up. and stop being chumps. Those UFC fighters going to ring. The boxers go in there. Ain't nothing changing their technology. It's like if you sign up for football, play football. We had to go through, what I'm saying? Like,
but they're trying to make football seem more corporate, it seems like.
That's why I don't like Roger Goodell, because he's a corporate guy.
So how do they serve? Is he serving a term or is it a lifetime position?
It could be, but I just hope to God that, whoever comes in, like we're going back to the 16-game season. We turning the kickoff back. And then also too, like he even made you had to back up to the 35-yard, or you had to kick a 35-yard extra point. Like he's making his own football.
Right.
Which is really like undermines the whole tradition of the NFL.
So you've been watching football for a long time. You're like a veteran in this. You've been watching with your dad and stuff, and so you've seen a lot of the changes and transitions. How do you feel about it?
I feel like they're trying to get more technical, honestly, because these past few years, the term, not just the condition, the term CTE has been on the rise, and as that agenda reaches other people, then of course he's going to try to make some rules so it doesn't paint him as a bad guy. At the end of the day, he gets money and he's not painted as a bad guy. He could just use the excuse that he's trying to make the game better. But I really think the NFL has been trying to get more technical. If you notice, the Cameron people, they've been messing around with replays, trying new stuff. They also have laser reviews now. They laser review if the ball's a first down or not. And if you really notice, it's just turned into a new technical. Even with the games itself, NCAA, they don't want people wearing their last names no more. It's like it's really turned technical.
I didn't know that.
So
like you remember NCAA, they having problems with the last names and money.
Oh no. Oh, okay. You talking about the game?
Yeah,
you're not talking about. Okay. Yeah. So, that's like you said. Football. Is becoming technical. Like in. I don't want to take your whole show.
Well,
about sports.
No. Don't worry about that, because this is interesting stuff, because it really ties into what we're talking about with tradition. And it's stripping the tradition, because I feel like as humanity, we're moving more, like you guys are talking about, more into like technical things, paperwork type of, more like computeristic type mentality of things. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So definitely.
Even in baseball, they trying to have robot umpires now.
So yeah, let's talk about. But wait a minute, let's talk about baseball. So there's been changes with baseball with how long the pitcher has to pitch, right?
Yeah, that's good.
And then now they're talking about the umps and different things like that. Like, what do you feel about those changes? The games aren't as long. Because I remember one time we stayed and watched the Dodger game. Yeah, our son. This is our baseball player right here. So what's going on with that, Kai?
I honestly think it's dumb. I want a real umpire. You know why? it's just the game, you know.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You have an angry old man cussing out the ref, just an
Right.
old-fashioned game. You know what I'm saying? I understand. I feel like once it gets playoff times, they should take it more serious. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But there's I forgot what his name is, but there's been a bad umpire. He's known for being a bad umpire, and he's been getting death threats. You know what I'm saying? And as an umpire, I feel like you wouldn't want to have death threats, but at the same time, you want the money from umpire.
Right.
So like that's also taking away their jobs. Maybe they can have a robot umpire, and they can have like a umpire like for other technical stuff like bases, but they also have official review too.
Mm-hmm.
So you know what I'm saying. But what you call it? I like to say one more thing about football though.
Mm-hmm.
This is my hot take. There's a connection that I don't think nobody's noticing. But if you notice, when CeeDee Lamb was in college, there's a receiver that ran routes better than that receiver, Jerry Jeudy, and then there was a quarterback that got traded to the Browns, Deshaun Watson, and them two people haven't really got a good shot, you know, a full season. So I think if the Jerry Jeudy and Deshaun Watson build a good connection, you're gonna be good.
Well, no, yeah, I hear you. But Deshaun Watson, he did get a great shot, but he shot himself in the foot by going to massage parlors and screwing around.
But
Stuff that I don't want you to ever get into when you start becoming a pro. But no, definitely Jerry Jeudy was one of the best route runners. But this is my take on Jerry Jeudy. I don't like when any rookie disrespects a Hall of Fame veteran like Steve Smith. He disrespected Steve Smith. And, you know, I follow Jerry Jeudy on Instagram. And, yeah, so I think that, you know, Jerry Jeudy isn't as focused as it seems about playing the sport. He's just more focused on the money he's making. And I just don't like when a Hall of Famer like Steve Smith is disrespected by somebody. Like, well, Steve Smith made a comment, you know, when Jerry Jeudy was playing for the Denver Broncos, how he want to see more of Jerry Jeudy. Like he's not getting that many targets due to him not probably getting open. And it was just something that, you know, he was like he passionately said, like, you want to see more of Jerry Jeudy. And he was having a coverage. He was covering one of the games. Steve Smith was covering one of the games. It was the pregame. They were warming up, pregame warm-ups. Steve Smith was on the sideline. Steve Smith tried to shake Jerry Judy's hand, and Jerry Jeudy said, "Nigga, I don't know you." And, you know, that offended Steve Smith. And Steve Smith actually, it's a clip on it. Steve Smith spoke up and just roasted him.
you know what? And kind
On
of
national TV.
using that segue, we see an influx of disrespect among within the newer generations and the older generations, where they're not respecting like the history of it. Like, I hear a lot of what we're talking about. We're discussing the appreciation for the game itself, like how I was talking about, like the old angry men, you know, like all that appreciation. But when you start to wipe away history and those traditions, you start to have a disrespect. So that's a very important point that you brought up. Like, these guys, you have to pay homage and you have to have and be humble.
Hall of Famer you talking to?
Yeah, when you come into these areas. All right, so I do want to move into some other things as far as like entertainment. One thing that did come to my mind, I can't think of the name of the show. Kai, help me with this. What was the name of that show about? It was kind of like a horror show.
Huh?
No, not From, but they were moving to Compton.
Them?
Yeah. Them? Okay. So there was a show, Them. It just came to my mind because we're talking about the Compton Fest that's coming up. But that's a really good show to get into. We haven't really had the chance to get into more of it.
It was too slow for me.
But, well, the reason why I brought it up is because it kind of highlights historically. I think it takes a lot of talent to create a show like that, where it brings up historically white flight, where actually in that community, my parents grew up in the actual community that was shown in that show, Them. From is coming back out. Tell me a little bit about From. What are y'all excited about with From?
Well,
okay, hold on. So I'm getting my the adverbs all twisted right now. You said, is it From or Them?
We were talking about Them.
we're
Now we're
talking
talking about From.
Okay. And then there's Us.
yeah.
Well, Us is a movie though.
Yeah.
Okay, so see
So
all these different. Okay, From is the zombie or like the people.
The tallow. What is it? Talisman.
Yeah. So, yeah, no.
Them was the one about they moved to Compton.
Well,
and remember,
Well, you got it.
No, go ahead.
The difference is from, them, and us, and I don't know if the writers did that on purpose. I don't know. Every time it's like,
to that till now.
I don't know what it is, but every time it shows like them, us, it's just scary. And From, I just think it's a Matrix. I don't know what it is.
No, From is the scariest one. From.
What's scary? Because From is not that scary to me. What's scary about From?
It's a thriller. It's a thriller, mystery, puzzle.
Is it like psychology?
It's scary. It's psychological. It almost seemed realistic, honestly.
Okay,
That's
so
why.
what part of that? The psychological part.
It just seemed too real. Like, I mean, like, just my emotions were like kind of put in each character. Like, man, I want to get off of that land. I want to get off. How the heck do I get out of here?
I feel like the writers are trying to portray something, though.
I can't wait because remember how it ended. The lady, she woke up out of that whole area, that whole thing that they was trying to get out of.
But you guys never saw Lost,
She had to fall out of that lighthouse or something like that.
Yeah.
That little ghost kid wearing white, the kid wearing white looked like he working a damn bakery.
Yeah.
And push her out of the window.
That's what was trippy.
That was trippy.
That was.
No, that's
really quick. Let me jump back to baseball really quick. Mookie Betts is back, right, from an injury. I think I saw he hit a home run.
Oh, really?
Recently, yeah. I believe he's back, and I think he came out swinging, so he hit a home run. He's back at it. Also, there's a few fall shows that are coming out. Let me just pull up my little list here. I am looking. You guys remember Deal or No Deal?
Yeah.
Deal or No Deal?
I know.
Okay. Well, they came back with as a reality show on an island. So it's not like a game show anymore. It's a reality show.
Kind of like Survivor style?
Yeah, Survivor style. I don't really get it yet, but it came back like Survivor style. But yeah. And then also there's NASA. We have our astronauts who are kind of stuck in space today under a Boeing spaceship. How are the markets doing, St. Dinkins?
You know what? You put me on the spot there. Let me look at the stock. Anytime it's crazy because anytime somebody asks me about the markets and how something is doing, I always got to consult with the technicals first.
Go for it.
And so let's see what is Boeing doing right now. It is surprisingly it's just flat.
Flat.
It's
I'm
flat.
trying to figure out.
Because normally whenever anytime something like a negative catalyst come out about a company, normally what you see in the market, if it's like a CEO raping somebody or some bad news come out, you'll see a gap down in the stock price immediately because that company CEO makes the company lose credibility. So then a lot of people, a lot of shareholders, a lot of institutions, they end up selling out of their positions. When a lot of people are selling at the same time, it makes the stock go down. And so with this news that's going on with Boeing right now, I'm sure because the market is closed. And when did this news come out?
This came out. This is like real time in the last couple of days.
Okay, so the market's open up tomorrow. I'm sure that there's people probably wanting to get out of their shares, so we might see Boeing gap down, maybe, and we'll see.
Okay, interesting. I want to play a little bit as we get into our hot topic for the week. I want to play this little clip really quick for you guys and just to get an idea of what you think, and then we'll kind of get into it. Today we're going to be talking about some traditions. We already talked about traditions in like sports and things of that nature, but we're going to dig down deeper into some traditions within, especially like our communities. With we'll play this clip and then we'll get to it.
I'm saying that what I'm saying is that the largest segment of the population, the most well-educated segment of the population is African American women. And it's going to take the most educated segment of the black population to help dig us out of this. Which means by attaining that educational level, they inherit the responsibility, whether they want it or not.
But what about us? But and I don't disagree. But former President Obama, in this article, he was criticized, and we remember. I mean, he was criticized for the way that he talked about fatherhood and chastised, black men in his speeches and this and that. But I'm a believer of this. Yes, I think that black women have an obligation because they are reaping the benefits that they should reap. Just like when white women were reaping the benefits from the civil rights movement, I thought they should take responsibility. I think black men, I don't think that we abdicate. So I don't think that black men, I don't think that we abdicate.
We're not talking about advocation. What let's be clear. Let me make it perfectly clear. Let me give you
this
an example.
Is point black now.
Let me give you an example. Well, now black women are the most educated segment of the population. Educated black women ain't gonna marry down. So the brother's been blocked out.
Well, I don't know, my wife.
Okay, so I found this conversation kind of interesting because one, I'm looking at the age of the individuals, so that plays a part in their mindset, the generation that they come from. But I find it interesting that they're saying that because black women are the most educated, that it's their responsibility to save everyone else. But my concerns are this. Collectively, we're supposed to work together. How did we get here in the first place? I don't really agree with his comment about marrying down, because what I see in our communities is there's a lot of like our brothers who are producing this music that don't edify the family, right? Like it's not edifying. Like we were just talking about NFL and how, I forget the young man you named, but how he was disrespectful to Steve Smith, right? How there isn't a continuity of tradition and respect when it comes to the men in our community. But yet you have this older man who are saying, well, because black women are the most educated, it's their responsibility to lift up the community. You can only do so much when it comes to raising other men, right? You need the men to step in to raise those men and to fill those areas. What do you feel about that as, you know, a leader in his family and a father, a husband, and just having, I mean, we have all boys.
You know, this is not an area of expertise for me, and like I haven't really looked up statistics on, you know, just this topic or whatnot. I don't know that to be true, but based on, you know, what he's saying or whatever, I'm sure that he, you know, did his referencing and research and all that stuff. But if that is true, you know, it's kind of hard for me. I can only speculate on this topic because I'm a responsible black man. You know, some people label me as being successful or whatever. I still haven't even scraped the surface of where I want to be and where I want to bring us to, or my family. But, you know, I just think that, you know, as a man, like, you know, that's your role to, you know, be supportive of the black woman, to, you know, be able to, you know, stand behind her while she's being educated. But at the same time, there should be enough impetus for us black males to kind of get our stuff together and, you know, want to challenge ourselves to become better, so that way we can, you know, redeem our position in the house, you know, in the home. Mm-hmm. I do see a lot of black educated women marrying down now, honestly. There's
so
a lot
what
of
do we
them. There's a lot of them.
constitute as down, though? Because I don't think that a certificate...
well, that's what, based on his definition,
right,
it's education.
Well, I understand that, but like let's talk for example. My grandfather had a 3rd grade education. He taught himself how to read and started his own business as a mechanic.
Yeah.
So I don't feel that the influx of degrees would determine whether you're marrying down or not. Now, a mindset to lead and to maybe own a business or to financially support your family. You understand what I'm saying?
I think the biggest security for a woman to have in a man is to see his potential. You know what I'm saying? I think that, let's not even coin it marrying down, but if you, like, say if you got a woman that's very educated in her craft, but then you see this guy who has all the potential in the world, he has great ideas, and he's actually working hard towards those ideas, well, then they're equals in my eye.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So, you know, it's funny, in our community, we have so many, we got our own dictionary.
Yeah.
Marrying down, corny, square, all kinds of other acronyms and stuff that we use, and it's really, it puts our culture down.
It does, and I think the things that we're interested in puts our culture down. Yeah. Case in point, like music is a huge influence. My brother was talking yesterday at the youth workshop about how other, like there's certain cultures that use music for healing, and there's certain like chords and stuff that heal certain organs. Well, if that's the case, listen to our music. Listen to what we're putting out in our community. It's dark. It's about killing. It is dragging us down, so to speak, in many different ways. So, one of the things that I want to know from you, like your perspective as a father, what was important for you? Because like when you became a father, what was important to carry on in those traditions, and what traditions were you like, I'm not going to carry this on with my kids?
Well, what was important to me, the tradition to carry on was just, number one, letting my kids see how hard of a working man I am. Because, I want to be all my boys' role models, even though they're going to have their own path, but it's still transferable. Because if they see me working hard, they're going to continue to work hard in whatever craft they want to do. Mm-hmm. And I just think that carries over. That's my biggest thing. And in the world that we live in today, I want my kids I'm trying to build this bridge for my kids for them to become independent. Mm-hmm. And so whatever I learn, I want to teach it to them, and I want to teach it to them efficiently and not too over convoluted, because I'm in finance, and so I want to be able to teach them in a way that they can understand. Because there's a lot of independence that comes with knowing and understanding how things work on that level. And so that's my ultimate goal as a black man, because it's a tough world out there as a black man. You know what I'm saying? Because 9 times out of 10, your person above you is going to be. You're not going to be able to look at yourself in the mirror, basically.
Right. You're not going to be a black man usually.
Yeah, and so I just want my kids to kind of be isolated from that oppression, because it is oppression. I'm a huge advocate for a believer in people should work and go to work and not despise it, but at the same time, if I could give them a different opportunity to build their own independence and not have to go through that oppression, then that's a success for me as a father.
How is that different, or are there some traditions that you just decided, like, I'm not going to carry that on with my kids? Like, what are some things that because I know as parents, like, there are things that we keep, things that we're like, nah, we're not going to carry that on.
I don't know. How many times have I whooped you?
When I was younger, I used to get whooped. Yeah.
But I think I can only count on, I never really whipped my kids as much. I yell. I got a big bark, but not a bite. But I don't believe in that tradition of, like, beating the shit out of a kid.
Yeah.
That used to make me sit in the corner, actually. Y'all used to give me that old yellow chair. That old yellow chair, yeah. I remember remember that one time where we used to pick up our friends from church from school, and we used to like sit in Bank Street. Uh-huh. I remember I said the cuss word. You didn't even say that. You just say, you was like, I feel like that's why I'm like, I could think for myself, because you didn't even, like, usually parents give their kids whoopings and that's it. They cuss them out. That's what they do. They cuss them out and whoop them. You told me not to say it and set me down. And I didn't want to say it because I just didn't want to be set down. But I feel like if you're whooped, you're like exposed with a lot of emotions, and those emotions are not aimed to what caused you to get the whooping. You know what I'm saying? I don't know.
Like, I always pick up, I picked up a belt so many times, but I never use it. I always threaten, but
So I'm glad you brought that belt up, because we're talking about traditions too. I think that as a young parent, Kai is our oldest, and we had to figure out, we grew up as we were raising him, and we had to figure out who we wanted to be as a parent and what we wanted to instill. So there were times where we felt like, okay, our parents might say, this is the reaction you're supposed to have, or this is the consequence you're supposed to have for this. And there were times where we were conflicted, and we had to decide, like, are we going to carry on that tradition with our own? Yeah. And that was hard as a young parent, because you're trying to figure it out.
And harsh name calling, because a lot in our tradition, we you know, we hear parents call their kids niggas, and you know, just you know, I've seen it.
Demeaning them,
you know, when I was growing up, you know, I was called ugly. I was called, you know, like all kinds of crazy stuff, right? And it kind of tore me down. Yeah, it made me have a lack of confidence. I was a quiet one at school, you know what I'm saying? Because I just thought that to be true. Well, you know, the people who raised
true.
me, you know what I'm saying? But you know, everybody's raised differently.
Yeah.
And not to say that, you know, to say they wrong or bad people or whatever. I get along with both my parents, you know what I'm saying?
They did
the best they could, but at the same time, you know, growing up in that era, man, it was real cutthroat, you know. You was cussed out, you was hit with a belt, you was hit with the belt buckle part. It was old school, you know what I'm saying? And you know, I wouldn't trade any of that for anything. You know, I can go back and relive those moments or whatnot. That's what shaped me to be who I am. You know, but at the same time, those are just the things that I'm not going to carry on. You know what I'm saying? Like, my middle child is he gives me a run for my money. He gives everybody, even Kyrie, he gives all a run for our money. And so, but I don't hit him or beat the crap out of him. You know, I might pick up a belt and threaten him. But I'm not, like, trying to kill him or beat him or anything like that, because there's a lot of parents that, like, I remember I had friends that used to just, their freaking father used to have them rub oil on their butt and then beat them with a ruler.
Jeez.
You know what I'm saying? That right there is crazy.
That's
torture.
About culture right now.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if I really have like smarts in this criteria, but there's a theme. It's called PMME: potential, mindset, mentality, and exposure. All right. So, do you think black people are set back in that more than the other races? Because you got to think, most black people are like in Section 8 housing, and the potential there is little, the mindset there is little, the mentality there is be down on each other. The mentality is blacks against blacks. And then there's exposure. That's how you're exposed to, like, PMME. All right, so now I want you to think. Now you can also use that into, like, looking. All right, if you're a woman and you're looking for a man, you want to see the potential, you want to see the mindset, you want to see his mentality, and you want to see what he's exposed to. Because if he's exposed to good stuff, say his family is, like, he's exposed to good stuff, then of course you won't want to marry him. Unless, at least, I mean, if you're a good woman. So I don't have any like smarts in this criteria, but I call it PMME.
You got a lot of smarts the way you just described that, and it's some adults that don't understand that, and that's what we're talking about, because generationally, so people come into situations where you just bring in baggage, and we have a lot of trauma as black people just because of our history, and so now, I think, like, even with, like, we were talking about our parents' generation and stuff, they did what they knew, but a lot of it was based on trauma and how they felt, and they even went through, you know, the different type of, you know, crack eras and all kind of different things back then. But now in our generation, you know, your parents, we're at a point where we're starting to realize those things that we were raised under and trying to not pass them along. And so now what you are able to see is, okay, what you just described to us is that exposure matters, right? It creates a mindset. So, and I see it as a teacher in a classroom, because I believe discipline is important. That's in anything, you know, you have consequences with jobs and different things. But like Kai was mentioning, it depends on the type of discipline. Is it effective? For me in the classroom, I could tell students who are not held accountable, and they actually like the discipline. They like the consequences because they feel love. But I do want to ask Kyrie, in your friend, like growing up in school and different things and things that you see when you encounter other students, can you see the difference with maybe students who don't have a father in the home, or students who are exposed to different things like the mindset and mentality, or even the music that's out there? Can you see the difference in how that's effective?
Well, some of them, like, they don't have no discipline at all, you know what I'm saying? So they think they can just do whatever they want, talk however they want, but at the same time, like,
you know what that's called?
What?
You know what it's called?
Preference?
No, privilege.
Privilege. What you call it? I feel like there's two people, and whenever they have like no father figure, some people they respect their father, they hold them dear to their heart. You know, they love their father. You know what I'm saying? They say they post them and they acknowledge them. You know what I'm saying? They miss them. And then some of them they hate their father, and when they hate their father, they gonna do stuff that their father probably wouldn't like, their mom wouldn't like. And what you also notice when you see a lot of people, a lot of kids, they say their mom likes argue with them because they remind them of their father. So say you have your father went to jail, right? And you're a boy, and you have anger towards your father, and your mom doesn't like you either because you remind your mother of your father. And some kids I be see kids saying that's why their mom be arguing with them a lot. And you know, it's kind of sad. But what you call it, I feel like the black culture is just really messed up because
that's crazy for him to be 15-year-old and make that comment.
That's
what you call
deep.
That's deep. Go ahead, keep going.
Keep going. We listen.
The black culture is really, because even with some of my black friends really don't really like black women, and some black girls really don't like black men. And what you call it, they all, I think, to sum it up, they tell me why. I think it's just they say black women is too much for them. They're too much to handle. I don't know.
Too much in what way? What?
Just too much.
Like mouthy, they want too much.
Mouthy, because I noticed something whenever I'm looking online. I see a lot of like blacks talk about, you gonna buy me Chanel bag, Birkin bag, all this, like all that. But it's mostly, sometimes it could be like a Mexican, everybody, but it's mostly brown skins and black people, you know. And I feel like what the blacks don't like is that's mostly on the media, and you don't like what you see on the media. So honestly, that's it. I don't really feel like I have the right to speak on this.
You're doing an excellent job speaking of. You absolutely have a right, because for one, you wear the skin, you have the experience, and actually you have more than a right to speak on it because you have an experience that we didn't have. And that is, you go to private school. And that was something that, an experience that we didn't have. And so that's something that, you know, we can't really relate to you on. But one thing I want to touch on really quick too is how is that burdensome? Because I know you and your dad, like sometimes your dad in his career, or I can relate in certain ways where you experience being kind of the microaggressions, or especially playing baseball, right? Being usually that only black kid on the baseball team, or going into a classroom where your ideas are diminished because you're the only black kid in the class, or different things like that. And you experience that in finance. How does that feel? I'll start with you first, Troy. What encouragement do you seek within yourself to stay encouraged in those environments? And then, you know, how do you feel about that as well, Kyrie? But we'll start with you first, Troy.
Well, no, I don't have to go too deep on this. Is what keeps me encouraged is just this one thing. I'm there for a reason.
Kyrie?
Simple as that.
So your experience being in private school, and you're young, and you're already starting to experience those microaggressions, those frustrations, those, you know, people just diminishing you because of your skin color, not just in the classroom, but also because, you know, you're a black baseball player. Like, I know there's a lot of frustration there. What keeps you encouraged and keeps you solid as a person? Like, what is it that you kind of look towards?
Just ignore it. That's it.
Ignore it?
Yeah.
Ignore it. And that's the thing, that it kind of is bad because we do deal with that a lot, and we have to just kind of ignore it. But I'm so glad to have discussed these traditions with you. We're going to get into this a little more. Before, Kai, you brought up some amazing points, especially from your perspective as a 15-year-old. I'm so glad, Troy, that you were able to give us a perspective as a father. Getting into tradition, I think we're going to have a part 2 segment on this next week. You guys got really deep. I really enjoyed the conversation. There's a lot to think about. There's a lot of work that we need to do in our communities. But definitely a great and amazing discussion to our show today. If I can say anything after having my family who are my guests today, I'm just so proud of just the discussions that we're able to tackle as a family, and to understand that we are nowhere near perfect as parents. We're still trying to figure it out. But I so appreciate the seasoning that comes to our life from the traditions that we have. As my son had mentioned before, there's good things that can come out of, having these AI umpires and stuff, but it takes away from, having those old angry men, and we can't get rid of history. And history is so important to our nation, to our country. It's so important to us as a people. To our experiences. We have so much trauma and different things, and we just have to evaluate ourselves and absolutely do better. If anything, I believe that this episode, we brought up a lot of things that have come to the surface, and hopefully on the next episode, we'll take some more time to work through those things and try to come up with some problem solvers. But definitely, we were able to get the conversation going today. Thank you for taking your valuable time to hang out with me and my family today, to address some of the thoughts and opinions of those most deep, innermost thoughts. It has been wonderful it's been a pleasure. It's been wonderful being your host today. I definitely look forward to receiving any reactions or stories with you exchanging your experiences. You can write to the show at the Innermost Podcast at gmail.com. Follow us on Instagram at the Innermost Podcast. I hope you find motivation this Monday to carry you through the week. Take care. Never abandon your innermost thoughts, opinions, and beings. And absolutely, absolutely, God bless.
Listening to the Innermost Podcast. Check out new episodes every Monday for your weekly Monday motivation. Feel free to email your thoughts, experiences, and stories to be shared anonymously on the Innermost Podcast at innermostpodcast@gmail.com. And follow the Innermost Podcast on Instagram. As always, be blessed and live in the innermost.